Okay, everybody, welcome back to the next episode of Secret Sex Dungeon. My name is Luke McPhan. I'm the Dungeon Master here at the game. For anyone that's coming in and watching tonight, welcome! We're going to have some fun, and I'm going to put these people through some torture, or maybe it'll just be a character moment episode. Anyway, it's going to be a bit of fun because recently our adventurers made their way out of the archives of Daggerford, their hometown. After spending some time there, attempting to get a body identified and running into a few shenanigans that are left by the I suppose residents of the archives themselves, protecting rooms with relics inside of them, our adventurers have now found their way out and are back in town. They erupted into the night and a market was set up before them. As they walked through the market city, many managed to find their way back towards tavern without sort of spending much time around, though there were a few, including Syl, Davos, Falcor, and our resident druid, who is not joining us tonight, Thorax. Created a bit of a scene as they walked through the market district with Thorax's new found friend, a baby froghemoth, which is still standing at about 9 feet tall. As he walked through, guiding the party, Falcor blasted away on his bagpipes, and coins were thrown at the feet of the adventurers while Syl acrobatically flipped through the crowd. Davos left kind of picking up the pieces behind the group and making some coin on their way back. Davos making a nice little donation to one of the beggars that was on the street attempting to pick up some copper, leaving a silver piece in his pocket. Now, as we have all ended up back at the Bearded Dragon, the local tavern in Daggerford where our adventurers like to stay, a night of drinking ensued between Magnus, Syl, and Falcor, and Davos escorted Thorax to I suppose it's like a stockyard of sorts, where he was able to find a pen, usually set up for pigs, but appropriate enough for the froghemoth Thoju. Davos is currently sleeping outside of the door that is sort of barring the pen off, and that's where we'll pick up tonight. So Davos, after a very, very long day yesterday, you find yourself waking with a bit of a cramp in your shoulder, not the most comfortable sleep at the bottom of these stairs, but you do get your rest. You feel the cold that is kind of running down the stairway as the very early morning is still not lit. There is just the faintest light on the horizon, and you awake at this time.
Okay. I do my morning prayers briefly, and then I go into the room where Thorax is.
Okay, cool. So you unbolt the door and it kind of like squeaks on its hinges, this massive timber piece. And as you look through, you can see that there's a bit of a scene in front of you. There's kind of like a broken water trench, like splintered bits of timber. You can see that there's a massive mound over in, like, up against one of the walls, that the wall actually seems to be a little bit bowed, and kind of the mound, you notice, is just covered in mud. Just go ahead and roll a perception check for me. 14. You're looking around and you can't quite see where Thorax and the froghemoth are, and then you notice that there's a bit of a like bubble that starts to erupt from the mud. It looks like covered in dirt and mucusy, and then it pops for a second, and you can see below it a large nostril, probably like you would be able to fit your fist in the nostril. And then after a moment, you realize that there's a point on the top of this mound that looks roughly halfling shaped, and there is a crack in the mud that looks to be sort of flapping a little bit, and you think that perhaps it is thorax and Thoju covered in a layer of crusted mud.
Okay. First, I say I'm not going to get my deposit back, and then I go to uncover Thoju, and I guess the frog.
Cool. So it's a little bit difficult in the dark, but you manage to kind of like crack away some of the mud, and slowly Thorax awakes, and he's like, "What's going on? What are you doing? Why are you awake? How long have I been asleep? It's still dark." Oh, right.
I say we've got to go, and I try to hurry him out of the.
Sure. Okay. And he starts like pulling his pants up a little bit. They've kind of like moved down as he was sleeping and like adjusting himself. And he like digs through some mud for a second and finds like a pouch that that he carries usually with a lot of his stuff in. Slings it over his shoulder and then just starts pulling on one of the tentacles of the froghemoth. And slowly you hear this that kind of like cracks the mud for a second. A big like gasp of air comes out of the pile of mud and it slowly begins cracking as you can see the tentacles underneath just moving around, beginning to push the creature to its feet. And you see Thorax, he's like looking up and he's just like, okay, calm. It's okay, baby. It's okay. And he's like kind of like beginning to usher it out of the location. So you two begin moving out of the, I suppose the stockyard that you're in. Are you just going directly for the gates?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. He can keep that extra gold.
Cool. So you begin walking towards the gates, and you find that they are still locked. There's a lock on the gates at the moment that is shut. And yeah, I mean, over the fence is probably like a 6-7 foot jump.
I sigh deeply, both now and in the game. I tell them to wait there near the door, and then I guess, I go over to the house. How early in the morning is it?
Right now, it'd be just after sunrise. So the sun has come up, and you've done your prayer. Thorax kind of is still blearily like clearing the sleep out of his eyes, and you can see that it's morning, early morning, be it at that.
Hmm. Okay, I guess I knock on the door then.
Cool. So you go across and bash on the door. There's no answer for a second. You can't really hear any footsteps. You wait there for about a minute, looking around, and then about 10 feet behind you, just around the corner from the barn-like kind of structure that this guy, obviously him and his family live in, you can see that there's a man walking around, the same merchant, the same, I suppose, stockyard stockman that was setting the fee for you last night. And he's like, didn't expect you all to be up so early. How'd you sleep?
A little bit stiff, but we must be on our way.
Yeah, I mean, they are lodgings for animals. You need a hand getting the beast up. And he looks over your shoulder and he's just like, well, did he eat any of the horses?
No?
Oh, thank
Persuasion check.
yeah, go.
No, I honestly don't.
Yeah, so you don't think he has, and he looks around at you and he's just like, oh, thank Christ. We've got a couple through that are meant to go to show next week, so it's good that none have left. I suppose you'll be wanting to get out then. I'll grab the keys.
Yes.
And he disappears off into the shed for a moment and comes back with a ring of keys. Comes up to the doorway, and as he unlocks the door, he's like, "Oh, and I had some coin that I was holding for you.
Yep.
I'll go
15.
get that. Just actually,
No, whatever. Just let us out. Just let us out.
oh, that's very kind of you. If you do need to put him up again in town for an evening, just come back here this afternoon. We'll be up. I haven't got any sales coming through for about two week now, so it's free." And he unlocks the door and removes the chain, and you, Thorax, and Thoju begin walking through the relatively empty streets of Daggerford. It's kind of dew still clinging to the pathways around town, small amounts of like greenery spurting through the cobblestone, and you begin walking where?
Can I ask, not Soju, Thorax, if he knows any place where he can take Soju out of town, like just near out of town?
Yeah, he looks at you and he's just like, I think I remember there was like a river somewhere that was near where we killed that thing. I could go to the river.
Yeah, go to the river. Go to the river. Go to the river. We'll meet you at the river.
Aren't we going? How will you know where? Okay. And he just like climbs up on top of Thoju and begins walking towards the south of town. Like, you guys are relatively close to the south at the moment, and you know that there's an exit gate that is south of town. You kind of watch him for a second as the sun's rising and just beginning to hit the peaks of some of the roofs of the buildings in Daggerford, and you see Thoju just kind of barely wide enough to fit down these pathways, and kind of makes they're heading for the southern gate. So as you head, I'm assuming, back towards the bearded dragon, the rest of you
Circle.
the rest of you begin to wake. First would be Beleaguer and Co. You are probably the earliest to rise at the moment after a heavy night drinking from Sil, Magnus, and Falcor.
All right. So I obviously went to bed quite early. I didn't know what Co was exactly up to. So I wake up and I see her. I feel like the instant relief to know that she's fine. Yeah. I kind of creep out, try not to wake her up, and then I go down and prepare my spells for the day.
Cool. You're coming down the stairs at the moment, and as you grab your spell book, and I suppose you have like the Hag's notes with you as well, and you're just looking to like kind of read through some things and get a bit of an idea of the spell scrolls that you found within the archives as well. You'll be able to think about whether you want to like sort of transcribe them into your book, and you're kind of lost in these thoughts as you're coming down the stairs, and you can see a familiar face sitting at the bar in the tavern, and Davos kind of looks up and is sitting there waiting for you all.
I look and I'm like, oh no, not this jerk, and I try and like pretend I don't see him. Like go to one of like the corner tables.
I shout, "Well met!" Like very obviously at her.
Yeah. So she gets to the bottom of the stairway and begins like walking a little bit towards like one of the tables that's in the back of the room, and over your shoulder, Beleaguer, you just hear, "Well met."
I pretend not to hear him and good to go on.
Cool.
I don't have time for this.
Hearing him shout, taking Davos shout, it wakes me up, and I kind of peek downstairs. I'm still all scruffy haired, bleary eyed, and I kind of creep down and see what's going on.
Can I do a perception check to see why she didn't hear me?
That would be insight, but you're just like, oh,
Insight,
that's
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
But yeah, roll an insight
I
check.
think it's kind of obvious that it was on purpose.
For this
Like, I look at
Beleaguer,
you, but like, you know, when you, yeah.
go ahead.
10.
Okay, go ahead and roll a deception check, Belle. Or no, just deception. Sorry.
It's 19 plus 3.
Cool. She's like super sleepy, Davos. You're not sure that anything would get
Shout
through to
even
Belle.
louder. Well met.
At this point, I shout down the stairs, "Shut up, some people are trying to sleep!"
And you can, yeah,
Alright, so I realise that I can't obviously escape him. So then I shuffle my feet towards him. I'm like, I heard that you look like you had a rough night.
sorry guys, just one sec. I've got Twitch noise coming through somewhere. So someone's on Twitch and it's repeating into my headset. It could be me. There we go. It may have been me. Oops, Dungeon Master mistakes. That's all good.
You have learned to play issues. It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, we're a new stream, guys. Thanks for watching. So yes, Davos, you are chipper
Please love
as
us.
all a wood chip could be, and you are sitting at the bar, currently just having a bit of a glass of water and a small amount of fresh food that you could find kind of around the kitchen, and everyone's still sleeping. It's weird that no one wakes up at this hour, really. There's a lot to get done in a day, and they, are spoiling the sunlight.
Am I level 5 now?
Yeah. After your last rest, you've woken up and you feel the main thing that would have come through to you this morning is that when you were praying, there was a moment amongst that meditation that prayer provides that you really felt like a solid connection to Lathander for a few moments, and it's almost as though you were receiving these words of wisdom from him, and he was telling you that there are more things that one can learn as a paladin following my path, and you've kind of been ruminating on these thoughts throughout the morning.
Okay. While I wait for them to get up, I study my spells because I've got to new spells and I've got to study to get new ones each day.
Cool. So yeah, I suppose you've got your tome out in front of you, and you're kind of flipping through pages, and just I suppose it's not like there is definitely spells written within the tome that you have, but a lot of it is story elements that are describing great paladins or great clerics of Lathander, or those Dawn brothers that have gone before you. And are kind of a example to follow. And you realize that some of the pieces of the stories are fitting together in different ways, and that kind of gives you access to those spells that you couldn't quite figure before. It's almost though something like a key has been given to you. So Ko,
I?
Oh yeah, no, that's all right, Magnus. What are you saying?
I was going to say, can I come blearily down the stairs?
Yep.
I'm going to turn to Davos and first say, your voice is as loud as your armor. Good morning.
I'm not wearing any armor. Good morning.
And I say, hey Davos, what do you call a fiend who doesn't like coffee?
I do not know. I am no scholar.
A tiefling.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Exactly as you said the punchline.
He said
I will say it again then.
Please do.
A tiefling.
And this is
Certainly not
good
buying
arcane knowledge.
Which would you
I
prefer?
feel like it would be better
Davos,
on
coffee or tea?
Sil.
Are you asking my character this?
Yes, because yes, I am. I'm asking your character this.
Does coffee exist in D&D?
Yeah, you know that it does. It's like it's not like a coffee bean as such, but people do roast different grains and brew them into a like morning beverage. You know that there's lots of different types of tea. Like herbalists do create things that supposedly give like vitality, or they might give some curing properties. But you know that you can get a relatively strong cup of coffee. And it has been provided in the past by Gus.
I hold up my glass of water and I say, "Water's for me."
Of course it is. I'm gonna go into the kitchen, which I'm now very familiar with, and I'm gonna start brewing some coffee.
Yeah, cool. You find the beans, grind them up, and then there's a bit of almost like a set of glassware that is set aside for brewing coffee. And you go ahead and fill it up. Melinda was showing you around the kitchen last night when you were helping out with the evening rush, and you're able to get a coffee brewed up in the next sort of 5 minutes or so. In that time, Co, you've gone back upstairs. You were a bit peeved that you were woken up by
Grumpy.
"Well met, traveler" from Davos downstairs, and as this fiery I suppose, what would it be? Just
Demeanor.
fiery demeanor that matches your hair perfectly, goes ahead and is portrayed to Davos. You are in a bit of a stink and you walk back to your room, but what are you doing?
So as I walk up, like I assume the doorway is a bit wooden.
Yep.
And my hair is just still a bit flamey, and it kind of catches at fire, and I'm just like, and I just try to put it out as I go back to bed.
Yeah, you kind of singe the edge of the door, and it's a little embery. There's like some smoke coming off of
I'm
it.
just like, I kind of like pat it out and like kind of look around to make sure no one saw it, and then just go back to bed.
Oopsie daisy. But yeah, cool. You do that. You go back to bed, and end up, getting a bit of rest again. But for the moment, I'll say that both Falcor and Sil, you guys wake up around this time. Oh my goodness, Sil, is that your microphone?
Yeah,
yeah.
Hey!
It works.
I can speak because I am awake. Oh.
For those
Hello.
How convenient.
For those long-time listeners that have been with us for a couple of weeks now, you know that we do get some mic issues at times, and Sil has made it. So, Sil,
Yes.
being
Good morning.
Being that your microphone is working, what are you up to?
Hello.
You've got a pretty throbbing headache right now.
Yeah, I'm not used to being hungover is not really my nature.
Yep.
I'm still gonna try and run through the morning routine that involves a lot of like shadow boxing type things. Can I try and like one thing that I would do is get like within millimeters of punching a wall, but not actually punch it. But I'd like to try that in my very groggy state and see what happens.
Certainly. First and foremost, roll a strength check as you kind of go through your morning kata, which is kind of a form of like yoga that keeps you fit and toned, loosens up your muscles if you do need it. So roll a strength check for me as you go through that.
Yes, that would be 13.
13. It's not too bad. You definitely are sweating more than you usually would, but you manage to hold a lot of the positions, and at one point you kind of like burp, and you're like, no, I'm good, and keep moving through the next position. You move into the active part of your morning routine. Roll a dex check as you throw a punch. You've got like a dresser that you've actually been using the mirror in to go ahead and check you're fascinated by this. There's a mirror reflective surface that you can check all of your like body alignment in, and you've been using this to kind of like perfect your morning ritual. So you have been trying to go ahead and pull punches before the mirror. So just roll a dexterity check as you throw your fist forward.
Yes, I got 11.
11. It does impact with the mirror, but it doesn't contain like the strength that you usually have. The mirror doesn't crack. The armor that it is upon sways for a second, and you see that there's like a vase that has a couple of day-old flowers in. It rocks onto the ground and smashes into about 30 pieces. And you kind of pause for a second. You're like, right. Well, that happened. And you continue for a minute. You get through the rest of your morning routine, waking up, and as you begin turning towards the doorway to leave, you spin quite quickly. You're like limbered up right now. Just roll a Constitution check for me as the room begins to move around you in a bit of a tornado-like fashion.
That would be a natural 20.
Perfect. You hold yourself together. Definitely still have that throbbing, and you can hear downstairs, well met, coming through the floorboards, and you're just like, oh, noise, okay. And open the doorway, it swings open, and you head on down to the tavern.
I do.
Assaulting your senses right now is this roasted smell of brewing, I suppose, like brewing seeds, and as you come down the stairs, you see Magnus carrying this mug full of like dark liquid.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I'm feeling a bit hungrier than I usually would be in the morning. It's very weird. Like, why am I so inexplicably hungry for something roasted and delicious? But I'll walk in. What's that dark stuff that's being carried? Was it Magnus carrying the dark liquid?
Magnus.
Yes. Yeah. I suspect it's some kind of cure or poison, and I don't know which. I can't really tell. I haven't sussed him out yet.
Yep.
So
You can roll.
What is it? Yeah.
You can roll insight.
Yep. That would be a grand total of 11. Wow, it's an 11 kind of morning.
11 kind of morning. He seems to be like holding it quite close to himself, and he like blows on the top of it a couple of times, and then looks around the kitchen for a second and grabs like a bit of powder off of one of the counters out of a like sack that's on the counter, like sprinkles it in, and then he's just like just blowing on the top of this cup and just looking around, and like you can see that he's got bags under his eyes, and is carrying the cup quite a lot.
Interesting. Is anyone kind of looking my way as I've come down? Is anyone? I just want to sort of scope the room. Well met to you two. My head hurts.
I roll my eyes again and still like just bury my head in the books.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go over to the paladin guy.
I'm gonna, while that's going on, get another cup of coffee.
Yep.
And just sort of push it into Syl's hand and say, "Drink this; it'll make you feel better."
Fantastic.
I drink this. I do.
Nice. Immediately, it is very hot. You kind of take a sip and you're like, oh, okay. And sip it a little slower the second time. But the moment that you kind of come into contact with this delicious liquid that kind of begins to like clear your head a little bit, and your eyes feel like they kind of open a little more after the next few minutes, and you're sitting there across the table from Magnus and Davos at this point in time when you begin to hear heavy footsteps on the planks of wood upstairs where the rest of the rooms are. And Falcor, at this point in time, what are you doing?
I'm weighing up if it's a good idea to have more of that hallucination drink.
Just laying, kind of like bracing yourself against the wall at the moment. You're just like, well, nothing bad happened.
Yes. Well, I think I will ask Davos what's the plan for today.
We are to return the corpse of what was his name?
Mosing.
Of Mosing
Mosing.
back to the light tower.
Oh, we gotta go back?
It is only right.
Can we
Well,
do
do
it
we need
tomorrow?
supplies before we go? Is everyone supplied up? Or do we have to get your armor or anything?
Yeah, I need to get my armor. That's important.
Very important.
Shall we go for a walk to get your armor and spring forth?
Yeah. Is everyone
Yeah.
else coming?
Oh yeah, I need a new shirt because I'm kind of sick of showing off the nips.
Ooh.
Magnus is not complaining.
It's
Ooh,
very
Everybody
tame
watching on
these
Twitch,
days.
please type in Google
Nobody's
Elven
complaining.
nipples. Elven nipples.
You should have a
Google
not
that
safe for work tag. Not safe for
Don't.
work tag.
Yep. So you need to go shopping for
Yep.
some
Who's
new
watching
clothing,
this at
Sil.
work anyway?
It's a good point. Who's watching this at work? I hope everyone. No, just kidding.
Get back to work.
Get back to work. So, Sil, you know that you need to buy some new clothing. You
This is
also
true.
know that Davos needs to go pick his armor up. And it looks like Belle is relatively well set up in a corner with her books at the moment. And you haven't seen Ko this morning, but Falcor seems to be in a reasonable state. As though, like, he drank a lot last night, just like you guys did, but he seems fine. He's just kind of
It's
like
an alcoholic, though.
making his
He's
Wait,
a
way.
wizard.
life.
He
He's
is
got a high
wizard.
tolerance.
Are you a wizard? But yeah,
Yes.
You're a
so
wizard, Ari. You're a wizard.
for the
You're a wizard, Falcor.
I am a luck dragon. But for the
Damn right.
for the sake of brevity, I'm going to go ahead and say that Davos, you go and pick up your armor from the female dwarf that you left it with, and she has finished sort of repairing the chainmail to the best of her ability, and I'm pretty certain I don't have that set of notes in front of me because I'm a terrible DM, guys. You're learning this slowly. I had Twitch playing before, but I believe that you may have the notes of what gold was left behind there.
Yeah. So I have to give. It was. I left 24, and then it's total 40. I've already taken it off.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so you pick up your equipment as necessary, and it's all really well done. And she looks back up at you, and she's like, "This is very fine equipment. If you do need anything more, I can custom make some things for you if you would like. I know that you're from the temples, and if you would like some kind of embossed, I suppose, section upon your armor, I would be happy to do that for a small fee. But I'm more than happy to go ahead and create some kind of personalized armor for someone such as yourself."
Sure thing. I was thinking about getting some splint or plate mail.
Oh, she looks back at you and just says, "Oh, splint mail I could get done quite quickly. There's not really too much that I would need to do. If you did want plate mail, though, I would probably take some time creating it. Would it be a full suit that you're after, or just a breastplate?"
Yes, but I would like to inquire of the price.
Oh, for certain. Well, if you have a look at the splint mail, I should be able to. The fee for putting some kind of specialized equipment together, maybe another 10 gold on top for the work that would, pretty it up a little bit, or at least give you your sigil of devotion. But if you're after some kind of let me see what I have at the moment. And she kind of walks out the back, and you can see a couple of steel blanks that are kind of like over the top of an anvil at the moment, relatively like straight pieces of flat steel. And she begins looking through, lifting them, and they kind of clang against each other. And she just says, "Well, for splint mail, I could probably go ahead and it would be a total of 210 gold pieces if you were after the whole set." And that would be very, very strong and give you a lot of protection. I haven't heard of someone that's been displeased with the armor that we've made here, but for plate, it does get quite expensive. I could make a breastplate for you for 400 gold, and if you were after a full set, it's probably going to take a few weeks, but it would be in the order of about 1,500 gold.
I think we'll stick with the splint for now. And
sure.
upon my return, I will come back here again.
So, 2-3 days time?
Potentially, maybe longer.
No problem.
But no rush.
Okay, well, I can begin work. We have few things to do, but fantastic. We'll see you in a few days. And as you leave, you've kind of described to her the symbols that you wanted, kind of like the sun with the path in front of it, and any other small things. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell her to kind of put onto the armor itself?
I'm pretty sure she's just going to do Lathander stuff, and that's what I like. So
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So a set of splint mail. And you leave that there. Lathander. So, Syl, you make your way out, looking around for clothing.
Yes.
It's relatively early, but a few people are beginning to open up store, and you can see that there's a couple of merchants that sell relatively fine, kind of like I suppose silken dress kind of fancy material. You pass by a few of those shops. There's one that's selling work equipment, really fine quality boots that are not fine looking, but definitely sturdy for work over a long period of time. Just like essentially jodhpurs that are for riding, and some well spun cotton shirts. You go ahead and end up finding a store that seems to have reasonable kind of approachable guy, just like hanging a couple of clothing items out. And he turns around and he just says, "Oh, well, I can see that you may be after something that I have here. Can I help you?"
How did you know?
My name is Uklar. And you look up and you can see that this man has a kind of greenish tinge to his skin, and his bottom jaw kind of juts out a little bit with two relatively small tusks that are sticking up sort of past his top lip. And he kind of smiles at you, and it's a little strange, but definitely the warmth is in his eyes. He has this kind of very short haircut that's kind of kept close to his head, and he's relatively well dressed in probably the finest stuff that he makes and sells. You see him turn around and he's just like, "So, can I outfit you in a full new garb, or what are you after?"
Just a new top, tunic, shirt, if you will.
Right.
Any of those will do.
Looks like
the boots are fine.
Oh, thank you. Oh, your boots are fine. Sorry, it's early morning. So you won't be wanting a set of boots.
No,
fantastic.
They're about the only thing on me that didn't get burned.
Burnt? What happened?
I've said too much. Let's just say it was a gooey situation.
He just looks at you and he's just like, "You're not part of Two Fingers, are you?"
I have 10 fingers, but I don't know what 2 fingers is.
That's all right. You're fine by me. He turns around
Oh,
and
good.
goes ahead and begins putting shirts out in front of you. What do you see in front of you here, Sil?
What do I see in front of me? Well,
Yeah.
I see a dark green. It's a bit long for my liking. It looks more like a dress that I've seen some of the young women around town wearing.
Yeah.
Which yeah, it seems to be about the size for me, but I'm not. I would feel a bit insulted, I suppose, that he's misunderstood my gender. Perhaps I don't really know.
For sure.
So yeah, I've skipped out on that. But there's I assume he's also showing me. Would he be showing me a bit of finery, or a bit of more
Yeah, you can see initially he kind of puts out a
everyday
couple
sort
of
of stuff?
shirts that are, a little bit garish for what you would be wanting to
Yeah.
use day to day. And then when he sees that you're not super interested in them, he's just like, function. You're after function. Right.
Yes, you are a smart man.
And he just,
Orc. Man orc.
I am a man and I am at least half an orc. And he turns around and kind of grabs a couple of other shirts that are definitely more fitted. Some of them tie at the waist and then on the opposite side so that it does kind of bring the clothing much closer to you. And you think that these kind of would be a little bit more functional. There's definitely
I do.
a range of colors, some of them long sleeve, short sleeve. And as he kind of sort of puts them in front of you, he's like, you're just after the one. I mean, you could do with a second, it seems, after looking at what just happened to you last.
It wouldn't hurt. Well, actually, I'll take something warmer as well if you've got it.
Oh, certainly, we have coats. We have, I could get you some kind of, you wouldn't want a trench coat, would you? Something nice and long, keep you warm in the winter.
Something dark, perhaps.
Certainly, I think I have just the thing. And as he leaves you with these shirts, there's like maybe two there that would stick out to you. And he comes back and he's got this just beyond knee length, dark wool. It's almost like a deep brown, thick wool coat. Looks like it's got maybe 3 buttons along the front, and the top of it is covered in like a hide of some sort. You're not sure whether it's a deer pelt or if it was some kind of other, animal that has been hunted. He's like, this will keep you warm down to when it snows and beyond.
That's pretty warm.
Mm.
How much?
Well, this one here, it is rather fine, as you can see. It's oxbow, and he's kind of like pushing across the top of the pelt that's at the top there, and he's just like, so I'd probably pat worth this. If you're going to buy a couple of shirts, maybe we can set this at maybe 35 gold, and the shirts with it would bring the total up to... You're a nice guy. Let's go 45 gold, and I'll give you 2 shirts.
Oh, that'd be nice. But a while ago, I would have just said yes. But I have recently, let's say, thrown some money away. So can we make it? Can we just throw in one of the shirts for free, maybe?
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check here. You're being super honest with this merchant, which you can see in his eyes kind of tickles him. He's just like, oh, sweet child.
That would be a 7. Oh, -1. 16.
He just looks up at you and he's like, I like your style. We'll go 40 gold.
Okay. All right.
It's a good coat.
And then,
Anything ever happens to the coat, or I suppose this shirt, you were looking at this one quite intently. You bring them right back. I'll repair for free. Don't even sweat it.
you're a nice orc, half orc. Man-orc. What's
Thank
your
you.
name, Man-orc?
My name is Uklar.
Uklar. Well met, Uklar.
Well met,
Alright, so
traveler.
my name... Nope. Close. Good guess. It's Sil.
Sil. That is a very fine name. Lovely to make your acquaintance, Sil. If you
Yeah, you
ever
too.
need more,
Right.
come back. Don't hesitate.
Okay.
You make your
I
way.
shall.
You make your way back to the bearded dragon. Finally, Ko has restlessly woken from her slumber, and you make your way down, seeing that Sil is walking back into the bearded dragon currently with a large brown woolen coat that has like a very nice pelt across the top of it. You see that you see that Davos and Magnus, Falcor and Bell are all kind of sitting dispersed around the tavern, just occupied in their own little bits and pieces for the morning, waiting for people. Davos is wearing his armor again, though.
I roll my eyes upon seeing that, and I go join Belle.
Thank goodness.
I
I was
pretend not
like,
to see
can I-
Davos either.
Don't do Bell. Can I just like I catch Ko's eyes and I just give her a look, and because she knows me so well, she can understand that I'm trying to like get out of this situation.
Yeah, this is.
I join you.
This is like.
But before I do that, I grab a whiskey from the bar, a fireball whiskey.
Of course you do.
I don't want the
Classic.
cumulative hangover from last night.
Cool. So you
I
actually...
make note of that so I can tell Melinda.
Nice. You're just like keeping your own little bar tab for Ko. But you see the exchange between Ko and Bell here is actually probably a small amount of thieves' cant that you've been able to tell Bell for when you guys were on the streets a little bit more than staying in taverns. And it's very much little gestures, rolls of the eyes, and your own little form of the language. But you manage to communicate your displeasure with Davos, and everyone has arrived back in the tavern. So what is happening?
Luke.
Yes.
Is this light watchtower south of where we are?
It certainly is.
Is there
Oh my
like
God,
a
he
city
prepared
or whatever south of that?
Yeah, you know that like you where you are on the Sword Coast of Faerun, which is the western coast of the world, this continent at least, you know that you could continue south and you would head towards Camilshan, which is like another almost different society. It's almost a different nation. Very heavy trading influence. A lot of knights come from the area as well. But you know that if you were to head north of here, you have cities like Waterdeep and Neverwinter that are far north. Probably maybe Waterdeep would maybe be 2 days travel north, whereas Neverwinter is going to be about another 3 on top of that. And if you were to head south from here, you would be... Sorry, just give me half a second. Nope, that was weird. Thought I saw a dog outside, but it is a barbecue cover. So it should stay on top of the barbecue. Sorry, but yes.
Taylor
so
would know if there was one.
Don't
How many days walk to this barbecue?
How many
cover?
days to the barbecue?
Did you turn your dog into a barbecue cover?
Oh my god, it's
yeah.
a shape-shifting barbecue.
Chris,
Korean barbecue.
I am a wizard.
Luke, can I just ask, in terms of timeline, with Neverwinter, would we be concerned about spell plague? Has that happened yet, or?
Yeah, so the spell plague has happened. You know that. Actually.
So I got my fingers all fucked up.
I was going to say, Belle, how much of that have you shared with Magnus? Because you guys have kind of bonded a little over the kind of magic side of the party. and I'd imagine that there's some talks that you guys have had, but it's up to you how much.
Yeah, so if everyone doesn't already know, my fingertips are actually blackened, and then I've got cat ears.
Oh,
So the
I
reason
thought your
why
fingers were
I
just
have-
dirty.
Yeah, we thought
But that's
you
just
were
like
from-
a
Toilet
No,
paper
that's just
dirty.
like- That's just like low-key gangrene.
Eat with your left. It wasn't eat with your right, wipe with your left. Oh.
Why
It's
not
entirely
both?
Phil
manageable.
doesn't care.
Entirely manageable. But yes,
I'm actually from that area
Yeah.
originally. That was like hit by the plague.
yeah. So
So I
That's already
suggest to the party, and this is very loose, but like after we lay rest to what's his face,
Insert name.
do you wish to insert name here?
insert Mosing.
It's on one of my notes. Yeah, Mosing. We can continue south if you wish to the great trading city of insert city name for that one.
Okay, so you know that there is trading cities in the south. You know that you would come across Arm first, AMN. You would then go through an area that is called Tethir, and all the way down into Kalimshan, or Kalimshan, however you would like to call it. But Kalimshan is kind of the southern point of the west coast. And further south of that, you know that there is a large sea that then you have heard of travelers going to a place that is called Chult. Rumored that there are animals down there that do not exist anywhere else in the world. Flying lizards that are non-dragon, very large ancient beasts that time seems to have forgotten amongst the lands down there. Very dense jungle. But that is essentially the area that you would head over the sea to get towards. If you were to head like inland from here, you know that there's mountainous areas. There's the Western Heartlands, which is kind of like roaming plains, dispersed forests. There's a few kind of smaller settlements there, and you would continue through to an area that is called the Dragon's Coast. Very kind of cliffy environment that is relatively high, dangerous, a highly dangerous area.
So what say you?
What's your proposal?
We go to Lightwitch Tower, we put the dead guy in the tower, and then we continue south for adventures.
Why do we need to go back to Lightwatch Tower?
Because
we need
this
to
guy
do that?
like lived there, and it's like his burial spot. And
So,
And it makes for a good
Selfish is this
sequel.
guy.
It makes for a really good sequel.
The grossing will be way higher this time.
Return
everything's
to
dead there.
Tower.
Back to the future again. Like back to the Light
Like, we're
Tower.
not going through the tower much. We'll just like put him in there, whatever.
Chuck him in with the spider.
Stick him in the
We
ground.
killed the spider.
Like, see ya.
I feel like this is out of character for the moment, but I feel like it's like we've got this whole world to explore, and it's like, let's go back to the one place we've been. Yay!
No. That's why I'm like very loose about that, so I can not do that. I'm
Oh,
just,
cool.
I don't actually have any plot points to go off at the moment.
Yeah, this is true. I totally agree that we should go there. Or else it's like, let's invent our own destiny, which is like...
Which I'm also happy to
there.
do, but I don't know what other plots there are that everyone wants to do.
So,
I think
what
Sojourn
about
might
that
be
evil
there.
guy?
This
What
is
about the
DM
evil guy you
stuff.
ran into at
Oh.
the
Yeah.
library?
At the what?
Lolo or whatever.
The
Tolo.
archives.
Solo.
Or
Oh,
to-
he'll
So is that
be
like-
Can we find him?
That beat you all up.
well.
I feel like he's Gary, and he'll just show up at lots of different points.
I want to find
Gary.
him.
He is a bit
He's
of
like
a
the
Gary, I
angry.
think.
He's like the chicken from Family Guy. Like he's randomly turns up. They start fighting, and then he disappears.
just comes back occasionally.
And then like 5 episodes later,
Chicken gave me a bad coupon.
Yeah.
So what you're
Devos,
saying
a
is,
question, if I may.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh yeah.
a bit like that. Smashes through a wall.
Are we to the tower then?
A query, if you would, Devos.
Yep.
Now that we've cleared the way to Lightwatch Tower and we've taken care of the undead within it, would it need to be us to deliver the body, or could that be left to the church while we explore other ventures?
If you have other adventures to offer, Magic Man.
I just think perhaps, like, going south, we're going to reach the edge of the continent and the ocean. There might be more to be gained north.
What of this that you would gain?
Well, Waterdeep's a much larger city than anything to the south. There's potentially more opportunities for us to do Lathander's good there.
Ah, they do indeed have a large church there that I would much like to fancy word for visit.
Most certainly.
Visit?
I'd like
It rhymes
to.
with visit.
I'd like to think that.
Pilgrimage.
There you go. A pilgrimage north towards the fanciest of Lathander's temples within Waterdeep. You feel that you've heard about this. There is actually a very nice temple to Lathander in Waterdeep. It's a much more metropolitan area, hugely urbanized, and Daggerford almost seems like a farming town by comparison. You know that in the north, the city of Waterdeep is a very large trading area, lots of, as the name tells, a very deep marina there that allows large boats from around the world to come in. And you know that the city built from that has prospered from the trade. The area further north in Neverwinter is coincidentally usually covered by snow. And has a stream that runs through the center of the town, coming down from the mountains in the north, where apparently there is a volcano. Only the bravest kind of head in that direction to the point where the snow melts. But you do know currently that in Daggerford, Thorax is by a river with Thoju somewhere south of town. You know that also it has been sort of talked about why the Temple of Lathander has talked to you all about at least you, Davos, about taking the body to Lightwatch themselves, but needing some kind of accompaniment. So it could be that you hire mercenaries or give them some kind of I suppose way to make it safely towards the Misty Forest. And if you do know that there's also one town in the south that may be of interest, which is Baldur's Gate. It is kind of on the northern side of Arm, and the last parts of kind of this central section of the Sword Coast.
Could I hire Thorax to escort them?
You could. He would be off on a probably 4-day adventure, helping.
Yeah, maybe not.
If yeah, you could try and convince him. That would be the thing. It's like, are you trying to get rid of me?
I don't think I can convince Kelvin.
Yeah.
And I don't think Thorax could be convinced, or he could, and then he'd run off with the money.
Yeah, not trusted.
Yeah, not essentially the most trusted of your party.
Thoju,
though.
Thoju's very trustworthy. He'll always eat a table if you throw it at him.
He's been pretty good so far. I kind of trust Thoju more than Thorax at this stage.
I think
I don't know any
he's
better.
more predictable.
It's a
bit more predictable.
Thoju has not intentionally set off any traps.
Also true.
Hey, I made him feel sick afterwards. I feel like we kind of got a little bit of revenge.
There is also...
so to keep him level-headed.
I suppose the only other thing that I would mention is that Still, within the archives, you did realize that Boltolo had a relic of your previous master.
He did.
That
It's got me a bit pissed.
when you spoke with Ko about this, you would be able to realize that it was something that was being brought into town and was stolen from Artis, the Harper's contact that Ko has here, on his way
What was it?
north on the road.
Interesting. So, and they were trying to sell it, were they? Or purchase it? I can't remember.
So, Ko, you would probably have the best idea about what the Harpers were wanting with a relic like that.
Should I roll for it?
Yeah, roll a history check.
$18.
Okay, 18. You know that the group of the Harpers, the faction that is spread throughout Faerun, is a group of great good and, not nobility, but notoriety for doing the right thing. They are essentially in the market of keeping relics out of the hands of those that would misuse them. They attempt to either store in a very permanent way items that would perhaps fall into the wrong hands and cause evil to rise over good, or be after items that are extremely chaotic to reduce the chance that someone ends up with them that would go ahead and misuse them. So to keep law. They are usually seen as, of alignments, if you want to think about it that way. They are within the world of neutral good towards lawful good. Not so often chaotic good, but they do have agents that are chaotic good, such as yourself, that try to, that will get things done for the greater good, but in questionable ways sometimes.
And I pass this information on.
Or is it a secret?
I'll let you know some of it. Like, I don't go into such depth, but I let you know, that what the object's about and all this and that.
Well, the object I recognize, and the bastard has it.
Can I? I'll ask you. Besides, like, how do you recognize it? Is it just from artists or artists?
I believe, did it not belong to my... I saw it with my former master.
Are you saying Fartas stole it?
I don't know. I'd like to think that I'd prefer Fartas to have it than the alternative.
Careful with your
some
accusations, and I start to get a bit sus about it because of what he's kind of saying.
Implying, yeah. So, Sil, you do know that this was a relic that your master held as kind of a almost what would it be? It's not like a heirloom, but it would be a mark of great knowledge in the path that you follow as a monk. You know that it was almost a relic of sorts. It's almost like an artifact of not as powerful as some artifacts, but it's definitely something that your master used, and his training seemed beyond his years. Like he was relatively aged in the time that he left, and you know that he was still an extremely, extremely accomplished fighter at that point in time, and his grasp on just the world in general seemed to be a level above anything that anyone that you've encountered thus far.
Yes. Yes, I would like to get it back, but I don't know how. He just disappeared.
Why do you need it back?
It's not that I want it, it's that they shouldn't have it.
Well, what are they doing with it?
You don't want to know.
Well,
And
maybe I do want to
don't
know.
Is it
Well, that's a
evil?
different story.
Yes. How would we find an object that's held by people that I can't find?
Well,
Oh, I have a spell for
I
that.
have my ways.
Oh, do you? Wait, I believe I heard Davos say that he had a spell for that.
He has
I
a spell for
think.
everything.
But wait, are we supposed to be overhearing this conversation though, or is it literally between you two and you have to kind of invite him into the conversation?
So the
I
bar's
thought it was
pretty
on the
between us
quiet.
table.
two.
The bar's pretty quiet, and you guys are all kind of, the only occupants at this relatively early hour. I'd say at this point it's probably about 9-10 o'clock in the morning. And your voice travels at least somewhat. And when you mention sort of like Davos, you were already talking with everyone about perhaps traveling south. And when Ko brings this up, you're like, I might be able to find an object.
I look at him suspiciously, and I kind of am like, "Well, no one asked you."
Whoa, whoa, whoa. How would you
fine.
be able to find it? Don't listen to that. How could you find it?
I have learnt more knowledge of Lathander, and I know of a spell to locate the object.
What do we gain out of doing this? What's in it for us?
Oh,
His
I'm
internet
back.
went dead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm alive. I got really
Huzzah!
distracted by the past. I had like a real flashback
just staring off into a corner for a second.
Ugh.
Belle's sitting there in front of you, and she looks up and she just says, "So what's in it for us?"
Oh, for the artifact. Sorry. I had a moment. These people can find you whenever they would like and do horrible things.
Like?
They walk among the shadows.
Like Urkel.
As we saw there, they can disappear and reappear at will.
Also like Urkel.
Yes. Just the same.
Urkel, the great illusionist gnome that would be known to disappear and appear.
Yes. We have all heard of this Urkel, even I. And they are 100 times as bad. I still have nightmares about them reappearing out of darkness just when I thought I'd lost them. And now here they are with an object that it gives them even greater power. Does your organization, Co, not try to keep powerful objects out of the hands of those who should not have them?
Well, then maybe
what does that
your. Well, no, I just kind of say, well, then maybe your teacher shouldn't have had it in the first place.
My teacher is not relevant to this.
I
My
think he's
teacher
very relevant to
is
this.
not
If you're
like
trying to
these
get it back
people.
for him,
He can't have it back anymore.
so then what do you propose to do with it once you get it back?
I propose that we keep it for safekeeping.
I'll keep it for safekeeping.
One of us
Just
will
like-
keep it
No.
for safekeeping.
Funny.
Ah.
I'll
You're
walk him
talking to
back.
a rogue.
So Sil,
I trust most of you, but not them. So I don't want them to have it. Yes?
I say
yeah, go for it. Say it.
What say you?
Speak!
Davos.
Is he rolling for speaking?
I think
I didn't work. Do you
Natural
still
zero.
think that the object is still in the town?
I am not sure, but I'm worried that because I am still in the town, they are still here too. They
Well,
could
this-
even be watching us right now.
This spell only works for a certain distance and only for 10 minutes, so we would have to act quickly.
What would we have to do? Run around town?
I will cast this, and then I could locate it if it is within 1,000 feet of me. As I saw it, because I did see it before, right?
The only person that no one actually physically laid eyes on the object.
Yeah.
I cannot locate this object. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I retract the last 10 minutes of our conversation.
Just like, God damn. I can do it.
I also don't have
but
a fourth twig, so yeah.
So the way that actually worked was that Davos is like flicking through pages, and he's like, I can do this. I'm going to be able to find the object that I have seen. I'm not going to be able to do this. But
damn.
I need further study.
Artis? Could you contact Artis? Would he have any further information?
Code?
Sorry?
You sound really hungry.
Right?
You sound really hungry.
Sorry, Ko, I said, could you contact Artis? Could we see if he has any further information?
Well, I could, of course, but what sort of information are you looking for?
Where is the artifact?
I kind of sit there and think about it, mulling over my whiskey, and I go, one more whiskey, and we'll see what we can do. But you're paying for it. And I kind of look at you, and I'm just like, because I know you're keeping my tab.
Who is you in
Sil,
context
do you
of
know this
Magnus?
object? Could you describe it?
I could describe it, yes. It is a bowl?
It is.
No. Yes. That's right.
So
It's a bowl. And
you know that this is like a singing bowl, a meditation bowl that was once your master's, and it had a lot of different kind of like inscriptions around the side of it, different languages kind of intermingling to tell different parts of a story. And there was a part that was the Elven story, and they talk about walking through their own realm and being given this land of amazing color and vibrancy, and that Corellon, their god, bled to put them on the earth. And it's kind of like a creation story for a moment. You also know Common, and it kind of talks of humans and their rise within Faerun and how they became civilized and facilitated mercantile trade. And they begun living amongst this world. What other languages do you know, Sil?
I know Sylvan, like my name.
Sure. So the Sylvan story on the bowl was more... actually, roll an intelligence check for me. This is kind of... We're just flashing back here for a moment as you're looking at this Sylvan writing and trying to figure out what the Sylvan was. You were learning how it worked at the time.
Yes, well, I did get a 9.
Okay. So you know that the Sylvan story talks about the dichotomy between light and dark. And it doesn't have an answer so much as that one cannot, like, there's purely one cannot exist without the other. And then there was some kind of description about a struggle, but you can't quite sort of piece together what that was about and what it meant for the world of Sylvan beings.
Yeah, that was a tough one to read back then. I see the words, but I didn't get the meaning.
From his story of the Sylvan, would it sound familiar to me, like that tale?
Yeah, actually, you would have picked this up in one of the books in the archive when you were reading the prefacing kind of paragraphs to the Shayed. You found that there was talk of definitely these motifs, like light and dark, the evil and the good of the Feywild, and how it's so very multifaceted that there wasn't a very clear cut, like nothing was lawfully good within the Feywild for a long period of time. They may, within certain situations, be, but they are not as sort of stalwart in their ways as your friend Davos, perhaps.
Yes.
The Feywild is a place of constant change and confrontation.
I've
I've
also. Yes.
got an idea. I know some people, not nice people, not good people, but people that might have a bead on magical artifacts.
Okay. I'm interested.
They're squirrely. They wouldn't like.
Squirrels?
Yeah, are they actually squirrels? Because I've tried talking
no.
to squirrels and it doesn't work.
Not actually squirrels. They're just, let's say, jumpy. A group like
Squirrels
all
are
of us would. It's true. A group like all of us probably would send them into overload, but I could potentially take just you, Syl, and we could talk to them.
This would be fine. Do we have the time to do that? This is me in character and also outside of character. Do we have the time to go on a little side quest?
Yes.
I mean,
Do it.
Well,
it's up to
I
you guys
think
what you
this is
want to
time
do or
to-
follow. It's
Yeah.
purely.
I don't really want to split from the group and have this big giant adventure and be like, yay, we force you to all listen.
Why can't we all go?
Because it'll get jumpy.
I'm still trying to work out what's in it for me.
They won't see us if it's all of us. Like, they won't talk to us. They won't be there. They'll take off.
Okay.
I feel like the DM's no longer holding our hand.
No. The world is so large and I just want to hide
We
in
can do
a
anything in
corner.
this world.
I just
You
want to
can
hide in the
go.
corner.
You can go.
I'm making a casino.
You're making. I'm making a
Will we
casino
pass-
with blackjack
will
and
we pass
hookers.
the-
Blackjack and hookers.
Haha, beat ya.
Dwarven female hookers.
You two are the same people.
Bearded female dwarven hookers.
I am so there. I'm helping with it.
You do actually know, Belle, that some clans, to the non-trained eye, it is difficult to tell genders between dwarves because there are female bearded dwarven women.
Yeah, I know.
Cool.
I wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
I'll call the casino puzzles.
We learned that in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But so all sitting around,
Okay.
listening to the options in front of you. Magnus, you've mentioned that there is a group of people that you know that do trade in magical items. And
Ooh, where can we find them? Hey,
Oh, no. I mean,
Hey!
oh,
Who
my
is
Oh yeah,
this?
we didn't kill his character at all.
we did
oh,
not
should we tell him that he
expect-
died? Thorax is sadly defeated. He was crushed to death by his own frogling thing.
Soju.
You know,
Then Thorax
TPKs,
crushed Soju.
TPKs are a part of the game, guys, and when one goes, it's like dominoes. You
I
can't.
just went up top.
Oh my goodness! I get
She
to
just
do
ran out the
this
room.
for everyone on the stream. Are you ready, people?
We're currently-
Because we're about to jump around.
what?
Welcome. On Twitch, we currently have everyone. Welcome, Thorax. What has been going on is that you, after being found asleep in a pile of mud with Thoju, were led out of town by Davos after realizing that a water trough had been broken through the evening by Thoju. And he led you down to the south of town saying, is there any way you can take Thoju, like, he obviously needs water. Maybe that stream that's like south of town, near the area that we killed everything, and so you've gone down there for the moment, and are currently frivolously playing in the stream with Thoju. What exactly are you doing?
I'm teaching him to hunt the way that I assume a frog would, using stealth and seduction.
Fantastic. So you're kind of like...
Can you please give an example?
Yeah,
please.
I'm interested.
How do you seductively hunt?
Just like
pretty straightforward.
Well, it's worked on me.
Hey, I am.
It works on Magnus. Everything works on Magnus.
You're a bad druid.
Baby is a bad druid. So
Great song.
Feel like crying.
yeah, I remember that song. It's a jam.
Please don't cry.
And at this point, you've kind of spent a reasonable amount of time. Like it's been maybe 3-4 hours that you've been down here. You and Thoju kind of managed to catch a couple of smaller creatures. Nothing super massive, but you do catch like a couple of rats that are running around. You catch one or two. Thoju actually rips a raven out of one of the trees, kind of plucks it before he swallows it whole, and then you see that there's wolf that comes nearby the creek, and you kind of pause for a second, just completely stationary. What are you doing?
Mount the wolf. Trying to tame, then mount the wolf.
Oh, good.
Wait, what kind of mount?
So there is a
So you got foot fetish and bestiality in the group. Tick.
Like, I'll try one kind of mounting. If that fails, I'll set up
You
another
might
kind.
need a saddle.
Okay.
No.
A lot just happened.
So I'll try for the first kind. If I can't do that, I'll go for the other kind.
So what was your first kind for me? Because I had a lot of voices just happening now.
I will try to. Actually, I'll let the dice decide.
Oh god.
I will try to hump it first, and if it doesn't, like that, I'll just try to ride it like a battle beast.
Great. So you go up to this creature, and it is.
Is this Andrew? Yeah.
It's standing in front
I was
of
gonna
you.
say, is this animal handling?
Yeah. As you approach,
Handling something.
Yeah. Roll an animal handling check.
8 + 5, 13.
13. Okay. So, just give me half a second as I just check something, because I need to do that with this book. You see that it is looking at you and growling. Obviously not extremely approachable as a not an extremely approachable creature. And as you roll, what are you trying to do as you come up to the wolf?
Seduction and placing myself in a copulatory position.
Oh, certainly. So go ahead and roll a. This is definitely persuasion.
I heard Beck laugh through Luke's audio.
Yeah.
That would be a 6 + 2, 8.
It looks at you, and you just see the lips kind of roll back a little bit, just exposing the teeth, and you can just see it yaps, and you hear the teeth snap shut. Kind of steps forward towards you for a second, and you can hear over your shoulder there's a twig that cracks, and you turn. What's your passive? Should be at the bottom.
18.
18. Yep. You can see that there's a second wolf that is just coming out of the scrub, kind of flanking a little bit, and coming down on the opposite side of you. Thoju's probably about 30 feet away at the moment. You just jumped over a couple of rocks and you're like, stay there, stay there. And you begin walking towards this first wolf in a very seductive way.
Are you trying to do seductive faces, Kelvin, by the way? Whilst just talking?
No, I'm just regretting my life decisions. I am going to swap seduction targets to try to like make the first wolf jealous. So I'm going to try to seduce this new wolf and see if that doesn't float the first wolf's boat.
Certainly. So you go ahead and turn around and begin seducing this other wolf. This time, because the first wolf is a little, confrontational, I'm going to give you disadvantage on your persuasion check to convince the other wolf.
That's fair.
Oh, Dungeons and Dragons.
Five plus 5. Oh, sorry, persuasion, right? Persuasion?
Persuasion, yes.
5 plus 2, 7.
7. Okay. This point in time, you see that the second wolf begins sort of beelining towards you, realizing that you've locked eyes with it, and you're kind of coming towards it, and you're just like, boom, 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 like rolling your shoulders a little bit as you walk towards it. These two wolf now are flanking you, and you're kind of looking directly at the second one at the moment. Just roll a dexterity check for Thoju for me.
Can do. Nine plus 1, 10.
10. You see that as you're looking at the first wolf, you can hear like the skipping of stones for a second, like that splash into the water, and you turn to see that there's a massive wolf, like larger than you, that is jumping at you at the moment, teeth bared, jaw open, and as it's jumping towards you, you see that a tentacle comes out, barely missing the wolf, and it just continues on its path, and it's going to attack you. So there is a that's going to be a 20 to hit.
That hits.
Which I'm assuming hits, and then it's going to be...
That's me, not Thoju, right?
That's you, yeah. And you're going to take 7 piercing damage as these teeth kind of like clamp down on your shoulder for a second, and the second wolf just closes the distance and begins coming up towards you. So what are you and Thoju doing?
I am no longer in the mood. Those wolvies have lost their shot at all of this, and I cast invisibility on myself using the same hand motion.
Yeah, you're like, and now I'm gone. And you see that the wolf pulling its teeth back, you kind of are bleeding for a second, and you're like, and just blink out. Thoju's kind of like confused for a second, and you hear this as he kind of is just like mouth open, looking towards the sky now. Tentacles begin flailing a little bit, and just begins like sort of smacking towards these creatures. So as you're amongst this area, go ahead and roll a dexterity check for me, and then roll 2 tentacle attacks for Thoju.
Can do. Dex roll of 12.
Cool.
Tentacle attacks of 24 and 20, respectively.
Cool. So both of those attacks hit. Roll some damage for me and let me know what you get.
Eight and 7, respectively.
Okay, cool. So you see Thoju just like reach out with these tentacles, grab onto both of the wolves, raise them up, smack them down onto the shore of this river, and both of them are kind of relatively wounded. And they're also currently grappled. So they have their turn. They try and break free. Is there a DC for Thoju's grapple?
There is strength or strength athletics or dex acrobatics saving of 15.
15. Okay, so the first one fails. Second one, strength dex. The second one succeeds, and it is the second wolf that you were walking towards. It's relatively wounded, but it like lands on the shore, and you can hear oof, oof, oof. It like stands back up, and it's like limping along, one paw up in the air. Begins kind of heading back towards the safety of the forest. So what are you doing right now?
Just double checking that I've had a long rest.
Yeah, you had a long rest.
Also, unrelated, I'm not very smart. I've had speak with animals this whole time. I'm gonna use it and speak to the wolf.
Seduce it?
Cool. So you use it. What are you saying?
Yes. This party blows. If there's no a wolf word for party, then I'll say hunt. This hunt blows. I think we should be friends. Let's go over there, and I point towards where Thoju isn't.
Cool. You're currently invisible, and so it is a little difficult to convey the message via pointing. But the wolf's kind of looking around. Are you talking to the one that's grappled at the moment, or the one that has been?
The one that wasn't grappled, the one who wasn't playing hard to get.
Okay, so the one that escaped. You are like, yeah, parlaying with it as much as you can. Just roll roll persuasion with disadvantage.
6 + 2, 8.
Okay. It continues. It like turns around for a second, and it like, you know how dogs like tilt their head weirdly when they can't figure something out? It does that, and its ear kind of sits up and flicks around for a second, and it just like sort of huffs and continues walking for the forest, not being able to see who or what is talking at it. Just leaves. The second one is going to go ahead and try and bite Thoju because it is currently grappled by him. It'll have disadvantage on its attack. And that was 214 plus 4, 18. What's Thoju's armor class?
Only 13, so that hits.
Okay, so you see Thoju, he kind of gets up, and he's holding this wolf back up in the air, and as he raises it, you can see that the teeth kind of like turn around, grab into the tentacle that's holding it, and he takes 5 damage as the teeth kind of pierce in and rip a little. You hear this like utter shriek out of his mouth for a moment, just like the first time that he's felt pain, you're assuming. Because he seems to be quite young and just like seems sad for a moment and in agony, and then drops the wolf, just like throwing it, and the wolf is going to take a little bit of damage from the drop. That's another 2 points, so it's not super crash hot, barely alive. And it just, you see Thoju just continuing to like, he's like confused because he can't see you, and is just freaking out and begins like to run down river. He moves about 30 feet just straight downstream.
I have another idea. Let me just double check how Speak with Animals works.
Sure.
Okay, I have 10 minutes. This is why I built my character this way. I stopped being invisible. Sorry.
Yeah, is Speak with Animals concentration?
It doesn't say, actually. It just says range, self, one action, and components. It doesn't actually say anything about concentration.
Okay, cool.
Don't think so, yeah. I stopped being invisible, and I start being sausage dog.
Cool.
Huh?
So
This
you,
is not going to end well.
you drop it,
Ah,
turn into your sausage dog form, and this sausage dog appears in front of this wolf that is almost entirely dead. It's laying on the bank and like beginning to try and get to its feet. You can see that where Thoju has smacked it against the ground, a couple of ribs have popped through its skin, like splintered, and it is just, very, very heavily wounded.
I say in wolf speak, we should team up against the monster. I am a fierce warrior from far away.
The wolf kind of looks at you and is just like, "Where did you come from?"
Far away.
I have kids. I'm going home. And he kind of like stands up and begins like walking off into the forest, like very, very slowly.
As he does, I call to him and go, your friend, are they single?
No.
That's fine.
You just begin. You see that at this point in time, Thoju's probably about 60 feet away, just continuing rampaging like away downstream.
I call to them, you guys are losers. If you guys ever decide to be a cool dog, come holler at your boy. And then I run off after Thoju.
Sweet. So there's this tiny little sausage dog like standing up to these wolves and just like, yeah, holla at your boy. And then you begin sprinting off after after Thoju. You go ahead, make it. What's your speed as a small dog?
It's exactly 30.
Yeah, cool. So you kind of chase him for a minute. Just roll a perception check with Thoju's wisdom.
Thoju's wisdom, he gets 19 plus 0.
Okay, so he stops, turns around, and notices the splashing, and he like turns, paused in the stream for a second, begins stepping towards you, and then you see like two tentacles rise up, and one of them begins like going into a whipping motion, flicks forward, grabs you around the waist, and he's going to try and grapple you. So go ahead and roll a strength check for me. As
A
your
sausage dog strength check.
Yep.
That's not terrifying. That's fine. Let me just try to find the number. What's halfway between 13 and 2?
Probably 6.
That's probably -1. No, probably more than -1. -2.
That's 6.
So that is a 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2.
So 4. So you are grasped by Thoju right now, and he is raising you over his head, and you just hear, and the mouth opens, and you feel the tentacle unwinding. What are you doing?
Continuing in wolf speak, because I'm a little stressed right now, I'll go, hey, can you take a dive? I'm trying to impress some wolves.
Cool. The tentacle unravels, and you fall into Thoju's mouth. Now, the last thing that you kind of hear is, fuck off, as the wolf's mouth is closing.
I change back into regular me, wasting yet another spell.
So,
I change back into regular me.
just give me half a second here. I'll bring up some stats. I just need to get For
You just cast a +10. Fuck off. All right.
yeah. So Thoju puts you into his mouth, and you can feel the tongue beginning to force you like down into his throat. And it's not a happy day. You're having a bit of a hard time right now, and getting close to being within the belly of the beast. I'm gonna give you inspiration here because you have totally played to character, and I love that. But what I'm going to get you to do right now is that you have been swallowed by the froghemoth.
The circle of life.
You transform from your small dog form to the size of a halfling. So Thojo is going to take some damage from just that alone. The extremely fast, like stomach contraction, expansion, I suppose, that occurs is going to go ahead and hurt him a bit. That's not great. He takes 18 bludgeoning damage from the inside as you change. And at that point in time, roll a Constitution saving throw for me for Thoju.
19 plus 4, so 23.
Okay. You currently you feel like his stomach lurch for a second, and then it stills.
That's fine.
Turn into a tapeworm.
I'm a little stressed.
Yep. So Thorax, you're inside the belly of this creature, and just roll an intelligence check for me.
That would be 11 plus 0.
Okay. It took damage, and then it almost threw you up.
That's fine.
You can. Okay,
I'm not going to cast the fireball.
So I'll give you two options here. A round goes by, and you are going to take some damage, as the stomach acid within Thoju's stomach is quite potent. You kind of are standing about like knee to like thigh deep in acid, and you take 9 points of acid damage. And as you kind of are standing here, I'll either give you the option to make a strength check to try and like crawl your way through its like chest, or you can be swallowed and end Thorax's story, or you can go ahead and do some damage to this creature that will cause it to roll a Constitution saving throw. So, first round that this occurs, what are you doing?
I'm going to produce flame and see if I can make him vomit.
Okay, so go ahead and roll your damage for produce flame because it's going to hit wherever you are within this creature.
Am I level 5 yet? Sorry, I missed the start. Am I level 5?
Yeah,
or...
you're level 5. So I believe your produce flame has gone up.
It's 6 plus 1, so 7 total.
So 7 damage. So go ahead and roll a Constitution saving throw for Thoju.
Natural 1! Natural 1! I hate him in his bits.
Yeah, this is the one way that it would have worked, because froghemoths have resistance to fire. But you managed to cause a bit of a reaction between the acid and the fire, the dissolved hydrogen that's coming out of the hairs on your legs and the flesh on your bones is causing this area to become like almost an explosive environment. And you produce flame. You said it was 7 points of damage? Okay, so you actually take 3 points of fire damage as it occurs, because it's like an explosion going off in the stomach. And at that point, you are projectiled forth from Thoju's mouth on the way out, just missing one of... Oh, actually, roll a dex check for me.
$16 plus 2.
Okay, so you're fine. You miss his teeth on the way out. You kind of like twist with the explosion coming out of this creature's mouth, and the fire tornado that comes out of Thoju's mouth produces you, Thorax, a little burnt in the feet, a little literally burnt up the body, and you see him look down at you for a second, and then you see like all 3 eyes kind of blink differently, like out of time, and then he stops, and you see the tongue like loll out, and it kind of like lands on your leg, and then just rolls across you.
Outstanding. I would like to cast Goodberry. I'll take 2 of them and give him the remaining 8.
Okay, good. He munches them down as you throw them into his mouth, and everything seems to be, no harm, no foul on his side of the equation.
Outstanding.
He's so easygoing.
I think we might head back. I think we might head back towards town because none of us got laid.
That's a real good reason to head back to town. So you head back into town, and sure enough, you come up to the gates, and you can see that the guards, Alice, and I think it was... What was the other guy's name? Good God. You know that Alice is on guard at least. And she sees you coming up with this giant creature, and she's just like, Thorax, what is that?
I point to my fire damage and go battle scars, and then I don't know if finger guns exist in this universe, so I do whatever the equivalent is, finger crossbow.
Finger swords.
Yeah, you've got like finger hand crossbows. You're like, pew, pew, pew.
Yeah.
And she just looks at you and she's like, I meant the thing that you're sitting atop.
That is the young'un. Thorax Jr., commonly known as Thoju, or nope, just it. Those are the only 2. Well, bye, and then I try to use that short pause to just continue on.
Cool. So she just kind of drops the halberd that she's holding kind of across a little as you begin to walk aside. She's just like, are you bringing that into town?
Yes, because we're heroes. We defeated some wolves. I think you described them as prudes.
Right. Well, I'll be giving you an escort along with Serge here to the stocks so that you can go ahead and put this creature within an environment where it is not going to cause trouble throughout the town. Does that sound reasonable?
Somewhat, in that, in my experience, doesn't matter where he is, things tend to go wrong. For example, lack of slutty wolves.
Well, I'm not certain that this is how you try to convince me to let the creature come into...
Actually, no, now that I think about it, Davos said it was okay. Talk to Davos. Davos will save us. Yeah, Davos has sorted this all out. It's all good. Davos he's sorted this all out. I have important hero business to do.
Okay, so roll persuasion or deception. You don't have to tell me which one, but just go ahead.
19 plus 2.
Cool. She stops and she's just like, Davos said that this would be okay. Well, I suppose we still need to follow you for a short while to see that nothing goes wrong, but at least it's on him. And then the door gets pushed open to town. These gates are kind of rolled open, and you can see that Serge and Alice begin following you. And as you kind of walk through the gates, you notice Nadar sitting atop one of the parapets. He looks down and he's just like, "Yep, look out, it eats furniture." And kind of giggles for a moment.
And then I point at him and go, "Excuse you, defeats furniture." And then I load you into a canter, or whatever the version of two-legged canter is.
Yep, he hops. He is literally hopping. And the hops are quite difficult for the guard to keep up with, but they do their best. They're, getting along and following you as you head towards where?
The bearded dragon. Wait, no, sorry, back to the stables. Because I need a nap. I am
Cool. So you go back to the stables, and the guy that's at the that you met the inn this morning guides you back towards the pig pens, and locks you guys. Oh, well, doesn't lock, but bolts you guys in, and says, "Just holler if you need anything. I'm kind of a little busy tending to the horses, but just yell out. I'll hear you." And you manage to, find your way back to some mud. So we'll leave that there for the moment and head back to the tavern. So in the tavern, discussing the world of questionably acquired magical items, Magnus, Syl, Davos, and Bell sit around a table talking with Ko about her relationship with the Harpers and how this may help. So what is happening?
Yes, I believe we were trying to convince. We were trying to do a few things. Trying to convince Belle
I'm still
of
trying to
why
work
it's important to
out.
her. Yep. And we were trying to decide where we wanted to go. If we wanted to pursue this bowl. I'll be honest. I'm pretty nervous about these guys. They kind of freak me out. So I've
You never
kind of
told
got
us
this.
why.
Yeah.
You said they pop up and they hurt you, and that's it.
Yeah. They.
For what reason? Like, what is their goal? Why do they do this?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
So Syl, you'd probably know that
Those elven nipples.
the for the oven nips. So you know that the light side of the path that your master taught was always it was braided amongst the shadow monk path. There's definitely parts of it that draw upon the same principles, but the shadow monk attempts to, I suppose, deceive and use any advantage that a battlefield could assist them. You, in your own training, figured out that the path of light was better in all situations than in specific situations.
Yes.
So you know that in any environment, your battle style will be the same. You're not restricted by those things. There are, however, arcane knowledges that come with the Path of Shadows that you are unaware of yourself, but you know that can be perverted for unnatural things. There's certain parts of the Path of Shadows that definitely could be led towards the lower planes, things such as the Nine Hells, the Abyss, even towards the Chaotic Realms, and that these would be areas where Shadow Monks could spend more time learning about those elements of, I suppose, their training.
Yes. Yes. Well, I do convey some of that information, particularly about the shadow monks. that I don't really have much of an affinity with that side. I've been trained in ways of stealth, but beyond that, I never really quite took to that kind of attitude, way of life, way of fighting. I just never really enjoyed it. Whereas it would be, I suppose I reveal a bit. I would say, as far as I know, that it's my master's daughter who was gone for so many years, decades even, has come back. Very different to what I can remember, and is obsessed with all things dark and hideous and basically trying to control the order that I was a part of and pervert it completely. So that is also, it angers me, but it also strikes a bit of fear. Yes. So that's why this artifact, I'm angered that it's in the wrong hands, but at the same time I'm not so keen to pursue it, actually.
I suggest that we should maybe adventure more so we can better
Yes.
defeat this foe.
I would like to serve the Lord of Light a bit better.
You are always welcome to follow that path.
He's treated us well. I think we should deliver his faithful servant to Lightwatch Tower in the south. And we will see these people again. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Who's coming with us? We can keep going from there to Baldur's Gate.
Bang! You hear the door of the tavern fly open,
Oh, fuck.
and you see Serge standing at the top of the doorway. And he's just like, Davos, what the fuck, man? We kind of like...
What did Thorax do?
He brought the thing back to town. It's like in town. I think he went to the
Oh,
stockyards.
God. Oh, no.
He said that you were responsible for it.
Oh, damn.
Oh, no.
That
Let
was
me
his-
handle this.
He got Alice
You
to
did
open
say
the gates
someone
up.
had to watch him.
Yep, okay, alright. Guys, can you come help me with, Thorax, please?
Okay.
Great.
The finger thing means taxes.
I feel like I don't need a persuasion check on that one, because everyone understands Thorax.
Yeah, I don't think so. You all kind of gather your equipment and begin heading towards the stockyards. You find that upon arrival, you're walking along with Serge, and he's just like, thing still really creeps me out. It's weird. I swear one of its eyes was looking at me, and I'm not sure whether all of them were. It's just, I don't trust it. And you finally arrive at the gates to the stockyards, which are open at the moment, and walk your way in. You see that the stockhand is walking around, and he's just like, so, welcome back. What can I help you with?
We are looking for Thorax.
Yep.
His steed.
Sure. Steed. That's funny. You know where he is. And he kind of like pokes his thumb over his shoulder.
Okay, we go. I unbolt the door and have a look in.
Cool. You unbolt the door, and as you open it, Thorax, what's happening?
I'm trying to spoon Thoju to the best of my small abilities.
Cool. Which means you're pretty much just sitting on the back of his head, laying in the mud. And yeah, you walk in and you can see Thoju, the giant mass that he is. He's like laying on his side. He probably comes up to just short of your height. And can't see Thorax.
Interesting.
As in, I can't see him.
Nope.
Thorax? Thorax! Are you there?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I'd be like, guys, you wouldn't believe what kind of Mormon animal I just defeated. Did you guys know that wolves could have nuns?
I say, what are you talking about? It's only been a few hours.
Just roll an insight check, Davos.
17. But do I actually know if there are wolf nuns?
I love it. Okay, roll a nature check if you want to figure out if there's wolf nuns.
Please don't make me laugh as I'm trying to
3
drink.
minus
But when
1.
Okay, you you thought wolves were wolves, man. They just like live in packs and shit. But you look across and you see Thoju with his like blue streak up the side, Thorax with like this blue shock of hair that is like singed on the ends now, a little bit like curled back as though it's been lit on fire. He has like the bottom half of his pants is kind of like in tatters now, very much kind of burnt through. And yeah, he's standing there and he's just like, yeah, wolf nuns.
Yeah, it requires further study, so I am currently druid meditating, also known as mossing. It's a secret druid technique.
You probably don't want to spend too much time with those wolf nuns. That could be habit forming.
Ugh. It hurts. But it's good. It's a good hurt. Okay, so you're all here.
Okay, so all right. Guys, can you look after Thorax while hey, Sil, come with me. We'll get the body to take with us.
Have we... Well, we better fill in Thorax here.
Do we really need to?
Well, we better fill in the controller of Thoju.
Out of
That's not very lawful good of you, by the way.
Good point.
Out of character, you could.
I'm neutral, good.
If out of character, you guys could just say that there are wolf nuns in the direction of that where you want me to go, and I'll probably go.
I see. I'd say we probably all just whisper to each other, like, I think we're all just kind of like,
I'm just gonna do it.
What the hell's a wolf nun? Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
They might have wolf nuns in the south.
Alright, I go up, I'd say, yeah, Sil, can you come with me and get the body?
Yes.
Nothing else is happening here.
Let's get that body.
Cool.
Also,
right.
While that's going on and while Thorax is just chilling here with the frog,
Yep.
I'm going to take this moment to just go and find a bookstore.
Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and you know of like a couple of areas in town near like the center of town that are a bit more like day-to-day trade, not so much market. And you know that there's one that is called the Broken Spine, that is like a repairs shop, definitely dealing in second-hand editions. And you go there knowing that this is a bookshop where you could purchase something. You walk up and see that there's a storefront that is just the back of a bookshelf. It's like a glass window that could be made into an amazing display, but it just currently is showing like a piece of timber. Obviously the back of a set of books, like a set of a bookshelf. And you push the door open and you can hear ding as like there's a bell sitting above the door. And you see that there's a man sitting behind the counter, currently has a book in his hands and a small single like piece of glass that has been like ground down on over one of his eyes. Very pale skin, hair kind of seems to be like held in motion above his head, but is just sitting there stationary. And he looks up and he's just like, "Well met, traveler. How can I help you?"
Hello, friend. I am looking for some books.
You have come to the right place. Anything more specific?
Yes, absolutely. There's two things in particular I'm looking for, and I'm hoping you could help me with. One, I'm looking for anything on the information, lore, or history of the Fae and the Feywild. Secondly, I'd be interested in anything you might carry on memory modification magic.
Magics we do not stock. We have some interesting tales of magic, but not so much arcane texts. That would be more the archives themselves. Memories. Memory magic. And he kind of seems to be just running through his head, kind of repeating words. He's just like, I cannot remember. And he picks up a book that is a ledger, and he opens it and begins flipping through, and he's like, "The Fae, however, we do have many things on." Flips a couple of pages and turns it around and pushes it towards you. You can see that there's a couple of lines in general that have been blocked out, like he's got a bracket around them, and it's like Fae Tales and Histories. And there's books in there that seem to be about like 6 different books that he currently has in the stock. You can see that one of them says Fae Tales for Children, Fae Tales for Children Edition 2. You can see that the third one says Beasts and Where You May Find Them. The Nature of the Fae is the fourth, sorry. You can see that the fifth says On the Courts, and the sixth is Magical Mishaps.
How much would you be asking for all 6?
Oh, definitely interested in the world of the Fae then. I like it. It's always interested me, but I want to learn about everything. It is nice. And he flips over a page and kind of just seems to be like out of the corner of his eye, looking at the book that's in his hand still. And just like you see that whenever you're not talking to him, he kind of has his eyes on the book and is reading. He looks back up at you and he's like, well, he's had a case of worm. This one was in tatters. I had to actually transcribe some of the pages myself. This one here. For the 6 total, the rarity of that 5th book is quite high. I would be saying that you would be paying in the order of 70 gold pieces.
Hmm. 70 gold pieces. Yep, let's do it. I'll take all of them.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And he kind of rises in his chair for a second, and you see at this point in time that the clothes that he's wearing are relatively like loose and very light colored. In here, it's relatively dark. The bookshelf actually blocks a lot of the natural light, so there's plenty of candles around. And he appears to drift out from behind the counter and is literally drifting. You see as he like glides past you that there is like a bit of a sweep of wind that like brushes across your face, and he kind of like begins thumbing, like running his fingers along like some of the shelves of the books, and just like flicks one down. Yes, and begins rounding the next bookshelf, like kind of like flips the next one down, and he's just like, this will do good, and just continues moving around the world of this little bookstore. He comes back to the counter and kind
Can I
of...
do some kind of check to know, like, is he an unseen servant or something? Should I be doing like a arcana or?
Go ahead, roll a nature check for me.
$14.
14. You have a rough idea of what this man... rough. Kind of like a wolf nun. Of what...
Please stop it.
What's going on there?
I can't deal with this anymore.
Okay. So, you have a very basic idea of what this person may be. The way that they move around, the seemingly constant airflow that is around them, their pale skin, and their kind of ethereal nature leads you to believe that, much like your friend Ko, this is an air genasi.
Cool.
He continues floating around, comes back to the counter, placing the 6 books down, and he's like, and picks up one and just flicks through it again. And you can see that there's a tale about the above doorman. And he's like, not their true name, but a fanciful tale nonetheless. And he closes the book and he's like, it is sad parting with these, but gold will get me more.
I hope that you can be brought joy in knowing that they will be in the hands of someone that values the knowledge as well.
'Tis why I do my craft.
Yep, I give him the 70 gold.
Fantastic. I mean, he kind of like sweeps it off the counter, and you see that like it almost hovers over his hand as he sweeps it off the counter, and kind of just very slowly settles into the palm of his hand. And he just like moves it across and seems to be like flicking coins slowly off the countertop. And he's like, what was your name, friend? You have a definite interest in the Fae. I would like to be able to find you if I do acquire more texts.
That would be fantastic. I was just about to suggest the same thing. My name is Magnus de Lamont. It's a pleasure to meet you. Could I grab your name as well, please?
Most certainly. My name is Fencer.
Could you spell that for me?
Feanssar.
Fencer, a pleasure.
Not a problem. It has been wonderful meeting you today.
Fencer, you said you've had an interest in the Fae, and you seem to be quite well read. If I could just bother you with one more question.
He kind of flushes for a second, and he's like, I'm not... I just like books.
Me too. There's a certain figure in Fae mythology and iconography that I'm quite interested in, but it's really difficult to find any information on. He's known as the Shade.
I have heard of the Shade. You're right.
Oh God, Luke, you just cut out. You cut out on this very important plot point.
Ah! he says to you, I have heard of the Shade. There is
50
very
Shades?
little information. No, not 50
There's
Shades.
50 of them.
There is 50 Shades. He says to you, all I know of the Shayed is have heard of eyes watching, people leaving with less people than they entered with. Boggles frequent the area. Some say quicklings run through the Shayed, being the only ones able to avoid the non-nice areas. I'm afraid I don't know much more. It seems as though the courts speak about him in ways that are displeaseful. They don't call upon the Shayed so much, but it seems to interfere with their processes. I wish I had more information for you. Perhaps there's something between the lines in these books that could assist in your acquisition of knowledge. And if you do find
I
out
hope so.
anything, please let me know. I would be most interested.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your insights, Fencer.
That's okay. I am more than happy to.
If you need to contact me, I do move around a bit, but if you leave word with Gus and Melinda at the Bearded Dragon, they'll be able to reach me.
Certainly. Well, Gus is a jovial man. I'm sure that
He is indeed.
he will pass the message on. Good
It's
day.
been a genuine pleasure, Fencer.
Thank you. He just kind of stares at you for a moment, kind of looking. It's just like, have a good day. Enjoy the book.
I shake his hand, and I then take my books and I go back to where Thorax and the others were.
Cool. You reach out, shake his hand, and as you shake his hand, he has a powerful grip, but your hand kind of gives on his skin. It's almost as though it's not quite there, as though you're grabbing like something that's not quite tangible. And he gives you a good shake, and then you leave with your books. You head back to the Bearded Dragon to find no one there currently. The sill. And...
Sorry, I was going back to the stocks, not the Bearded Dragon.
Sorry. So you head back to the stocks, finding Ko, Falcor, Bell, and Thorax with Thoju standing around, and Davos and Syl. I can see that Syl's frame is currently empty. So Davos. Syl is with you as you head up to the Temple of Lathander. You walk up the steps, kind of passing all of the stones that have, various inscriptions along the sides of the stairwell, and you make your way to the gates of the church, push the doors open, and come inside. You see a few of the acolytes kind of moving around the temple, just cleaning things. They've kind of, I suppose, had a relatively large service this morning, and you can see that Lucian is sitting near the back of the church currently, just thumbing through a book.
Okay, I approach him and say, me and my adventures are ready. Hello.
Hello. So
Bring Jen back.
as
okay. I'm not going to see Jordan for another 4 minutes.
So you
only Luke laughed at that.
Yeah, I know. No one else got it. It's okay. High quality humor here. Lucian looks back at you and he's like, yes, we have managed to get
Mosing prepared as possible for his journey. Come with me.
And you see he walks you out into the courtyard behind the church, and there is currently where the path kind of winds down around the stairway. There is a cart that has been set up near the top with a white coffin, very highly polished wood. Like the finish on it has been highly polished. There's golden pawls along the side, and there is a very, very ornately carved emblem of Lathander across the top of the coffin. He looks back to you and he says,
We managed to replicate vestments of the time and place them on Mosing's body for burial. So he is with one of the holy symbols that you left with us, and Lathander will be with him.
I don't know. I gotta remember my quotes more, but I say one of those quotes. So what's the cart thing? What is it?
It just seems to be like a relatively basic, four-wheeled wagon that has this, what do you call it? Coffin sitting atop it. It has sides relatively about maybe a half a foot high to stop it from sliding off.
Okay, but we can wheel it around.
Yeah, it's got like a.
Or I can just animate him and he can walk himself.
Oh God. Walk yourself to Lightwatch. Now dig a pit. That would be hilarious, though. So yeah, you see that you could bridle horses to this, and it would be fine. There's no issue there.
All right.
And Lucian
Okay.
he looks back to you.
Are there bridles there?
No. It's just it is the two pieces of timber that sit out front with a brace across the center, like the timber work that would you would need to get a horse that had all of the equipment ready to go to tie up to it.
All right. I get Syl to come with me and take it back to the stables.
Okay.
So you two begin sort of pulling this cart from the west of town, and the two of you pulling it is quite a task. You will take some time to get to the stables.
Oh man, why did I volunteer?
Yeah, that's all right though. Doing the God's work.
This is the path of Lathander.
Yeah, the whole
This
time.
path is hard.
Davos,
Chomps.
you can see he's swallowing back swear words at times, and he's like, "We must walk a difficult path at times to be in the light," and then picks up the timber again, continues pulling against the wagon. Falcor, Ko, Bell, kind of standing around. Nothing much is happening. Syl and Davos have been gone for about half an hour.
Can I look through my stuff about animating dead bodies?
Yeah.
You're sick.
The amount
You're
of time.
A sicko.
You sick.
Sickly hilarious.
You go
I
ahead.
I was reading it up.
Yep.
It's only for 24 hours. So I have to use it wisely, but maybe I can just keep redoing it.
But
and hope that we don't get into any trouble.
I think that the way the spell works is that you can recast on up to 4 creatures. So if you cast it once a day, you can have 4 following you around.
Yeah.
If you have 4 corpses that you can find.
4 corpses, yeah.
But yes, you would have your own little undead posse. You finally begin to click with the hag's notes. They were a little cryptic to begin with. You weren't sure how she had constructed this flesh golem, what had gone into it, and it seemed like some pretty advanced magic. You weren't 100% sure on how to get it done, but after studying over your own notes, the scroll that you found within the archives and the hag's notes, you are able to kind of piece together how you would animate a corpse, and you realize, there's where I got the cat's ears. And you realize that there was an incorrect rune that you said at a specific time within the cast that backfired with interesting consequences. You do, however, realize that this is how you would do the spell, that you could potentially create one of the creatures like what you saw in the archives in the Medica.
I am very interested, and I bookmark this information for later.
Cool. So you get that done, no issues. Falcor, what are you up to?
Well, I'm kind of thinking that magical salesman guy is good to have a look at. I believe Magnus was talking about this.
Yeah, so he was talking about the fact that he had some contacts that acquire magical items, potentially. The way he was talking about it almost sounded like it was some kind of racket, or there was some kind of black market to the acquisition or questionable trade, but you're not 100% sure on who it might have been, not necessarily out in the open, people collecting items and selling them.
Is Magnus around to get further details about this, or do we have to investigate further?
No, funnily enough, you see him walking back, an armful of books, and he is kind of just you see him slip for a second and kind of re-grab the books as though he doesn't want to drop them at all. And he kind of looks up,
drop them.
Smiles at you, and then Magnus, you arrive back and see that Davos and Syl haven't returned.
Oh, sorry, was that Magnus to say something?
Yes.
Hi guys, I'm back. I got some books.
Up, dog.
Oh my god.
Magic rack stuff. Details.
Sorry, what now? Magic rack. Oh, the people I was talking about. Look, there are people within the city, shady people that acquire magical objects. I'm interested in magical objects. I've had some dealings with them. Nothing too serious, but I know where to find them. Not necessarily where they like to hang out or where they keep stuff, but where I've encountered them in the past.
Interesting. Does the rest of the party that is here wish to find these people? And maybe have some sexy results?
Yes.
Sure.
Well, I can do with almost 100% certainty that if they get a whiff of a Harper, there's no way they'll meet with us.
So those sexy results. Damn. Does everyone else want to go there?
Are you saying that I can't come?
Pretty much precisely, that's what I'm saying, yes.
I give him a slap.
You can always come haul an incredibly heavy wagon thing with us.
No.
Oh.
And I just keep staring at you, and I'm just I keep staring at you, Magnus, and I'm just look really offended.
Yeah. Time passes, and you're all kind of standing around just waiting still. There's not, word, not sound of Davos or Syl. They're kind of just gone, apparently.
Man, did we get ambushed? Far out.
You're dragging a coffin and wagon through town from the west to the south.
Whose idea was this?
That would be Davos.
He's doing the right thing. God's work.
We'll take the wagon to the horses so that we can put the horses on the wagon.
I'm sliding both towards chaotic and evil as we speak.
You're just like, man, this religion thing isn't working out for me. So, you, after discussing at length with Magnus about who these people are, he's a little sort of apprehensive about too many details to begin, but is very clear about the fact that, you know, Harpers are not welcome amongst their midst. The interesting thing about that is that Ko, you realize you realize that you're
No,
you
I'm
are
just
there.
giving Taylor cuddles.
Bethany's there
Taylor was
too.
getting cuddles.
Um,
Wait, so is this
Don't
the
go, don't
rival
leave us.
gang that he's going to?
roll
The Zentarum?
roll a what would this be? Insight check.
Why is it a minus? So that's 8.
8? Yeah, you're not
There
sure.
is nothing inside.
You're trying to figure if it might have been like a thieves guild or if it's just some dodgy characters.
Can I sneak along? Because if it's the Zentarum, I'm so gonna leave a trail.
Leave a trail.
Well, I'm just gonna fuck shit up and leave that symbol around.
Well, are we going? I don't think we're going there.
You said you were gonna meet the Zentarum, basically. Well, I think it's gonna be them.
I didn't think we were going. Are we going?
No,
I'm
you guys.
Well,
you
I'm
guys
not
are,
allowed to go.
Yeah, you're all standing around.
I was just
outside
going to
of the
read my
stocks.
book.
Oh, what's the other options apart from that then?
This point in time, you all look up and see 2 people dragging a giant cart towards you. There is sweat drenching Sill's clothing.
Is it like a sunset behind him?
Davos is flagging after carrying/dragging this whole thing through town in chainmail with his entire kit strapped to his side. Both of you are near exhaustion. You
Can I carry some water to them and then chug it down in front of them and say, "What are you up to?"
Yep.
What's this about? Where's the horses?
And this is why you don't trust a paladin.
Okay, is the stable person there?
You could find him easily. Yep.
Okay. I purchase a bridal kit thing from him.
Yep.
Which is a few gold pieces.
Yeah, give me a tick. I get my price
I
list.
think now they would be sweat-covered gold pieces, which are probably worth more.
They're a bit sticky.
They're faster.
They're faster.
Yes.
They slide across
Extra
the counter
slippery.
better. Let me just take a look here.
There's the right way and the wrong way, and the next power way. Isn't that the wrong way? Yes, but faster.
Okay, so if you're after a couple of draft horses to buy, they would be 50 gold pieces each. For bit and bridle, you would need 2 gold pieces per horse. So that would bring your total, if you wanted to purchase all of these things, up to, what's that? Let's see, 104 gold pieces. You could potentially rent the horse for a price.
No, fuck that. I buy the bit and bridle.
Yep.
And I also buy a riding saddle.
Okay. Yep.
So that would be 12.
Yep.
And then Kelvin Thorax transforms into a horse.
No.
Shetland pony.
I cast my level 5 spell, my level 2 spell that I get in level 5, Find Steed. So I'm gonna get a war horse.
Fantastic.
Jesus.
So
How loaded are you?
You see this.
Just bear in mind it takes 10 minutes to cast. But you guys are all waiting around anyway.
Oh boy.
We should just bridle the Froghemoth.
That'll end well. That'll end
Whilst
so
this
well.
is happening, can I try and reanimate the dead body?
No, fuck that. No, fuck you.
No. right now, Davos, you are focused on
Fuck.
casting this spell to animate, to bring a spectral steed to your side. You sit with the equipment around you. What do you need for casting your spectral steed spell or summon steed?
Just verbal and semantic.
Okay. So you're reciting a prayer and going through like a couple of motions near the front of the cart and like drawing sigils across the air and sort of as you do this, radiant light is like illuminating each of them just like in place. They begin to form like the mane of a horse. You, after about 2 minutes of doing this, Bell, you can see Davos at the front of the carriage, and he is currently casting this spell. He seems very into what he is doing right now. Everyone else is kind of milling about. You see Thorax kind of playing with Thoju, and just like playing high five, like patty cake with the tentacles. You see Syl kind of watching Davos, but mostly taking a rest. And at this point in time, if anyone's not doing anything, you guys can take a short rest. So, Davos, you're casting a spell.
Yes.
Everyone else is probably taking a short rest. Thorax, if you want to heal up a little bit, you can use your hit die. And everyone would have regained 3 hit die on their last rest. So if you had used them, you get 3 back. Belle, what are you doing?
Yes. I want to reanimate the body.
You're just going to walk up and cast a spell?
I want to piggyback. Yeah, I want to piggyback. I don't want to walk.
Cool. So how long is the casting time on your spell?
I'm going to be so pissed.
Instantaneous.
Okay. So
it's 1 minute for it. It's 1 minute for the casting time, but the duration is instantaneous.
So 1 minute is the casting time. Let me just double check something here. So it's animate dead that you're looking to use.
Yeah.
Okay. So
do you understand like what we're doing here?
Yeah, so
I'm getting a free.
Like there'll be other corpses.
Bell.
No.
So many more.
Yeah, but this one might have the soul of the person in it, so it's okay. We have to find out, right?
We can talk to him, maybe.
So Belle,
Maybe.
you walk up beside.
You're not doing it for that reason.
Are you trying to be discreet, or are you just casting the spell?
I look around and I can see the only person who's going to be like really anti this is Davos, and he's like got 10 minutes of like preparation. So it's like, may as well do it. See if this works out, and like because I want to practice everything I've just read.
Yep. You begin casting this spell. You pull out your spell book, have the animate dead scroll that is on one side. You're not using the scroll, but you're reading runes from it and just trying to get that translated into your spell book, but you're holding it in your mind at the moment. You begin placing runes across the edges of this coffin on one side opposite Davos, and create like an area in front of you that begins to like pulse with green and purple energy. And this purple shadow begins to like fade out of the runes. It's got this like grey kind of texture to the edges. After about half a minute, Thorax, you'd probably be the only one that really clues into this. You can see Belle standing near the top of the coffin. She's like casting a spell at the moment, and seems to be pretty into it. Is there anything that you're doing?
I'm just happy to have another parent.
Do you have any thoughts of motherhood? Yeah.
Basically, I'm running through how playdates would work and whether or not playdates usually end in one child eating the other child.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're not sure. You've heard that playdates are usually common, and there's still lots of kids around, so it's probably okay.
It's probably fine.
Yeah, it's probably fine. So with that, 30 seconds pass, another 30 seconds pass, and you release the spell, Bell. Now, is it range touch?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get
It
this.
is. Wait a sec. It's 10 feet,
Okay,
the
so
range.
you finish your spell. The arcane sigils just kind of like burn for a second with this dark shadow of like just clinging to the edges of each of them, and then kind of like pops out and stops. You can feel like your hands are heavy, like really heavy, not like usual. You can feel that like your legs seem to be like a little restless, very tired, and as you breathe, it almost feels like your lungs like stick for a second, as though you're not going to be able to draw a breath in, and then you manage to actually breathe in, and you kind of aren't sure what exactly is happening. What are you doing?
I'm looking at it and I'm looking back at the notes and I'm like trying to readjust stuff to make sure that it's going to work.
Cool. I'm assuming you like start flipping through your handbook at some point,
Yeah,
and inside
because
of the
she would have like drawn pictures and stuff.
yeah, in front
The
of you,
hag and stuff would have done things.
you just hear coming from inside of the coffin.
This is the best day ever. Keep going.
Cool. So you just start moving your limbs, and you realize that slowly, as though like you train yourself, you begin moving your limbs less and less, and you realize that you can keep the knocking inside of the coffin occurring without moving at all. It becomes much less of a body experience, and it moves into a part of your mind that is focusing on this spell. And you think about moving your feet. You hear the end of the coffin go. You think about moving your hands each side of the coffin. Just you seem to have control of whatever is inside of this coffin.
So what I do is, because I have control over it, I tell it to open up the coffin and let itself out.
Cool. So, quite excitingly, you just hear on the inside of the coffin.
Yeah.
Now, all of you...
We just carried it.
Actually,
Ugh.
Davos, go ahead and roll a perception check with disadvantage because you're truly focused on this spell right now. 14. You can hear like thumping from behind you, and then everyone else. That's pretty much all that you hear, Davos, and you're not sure what it is. You continue casting your spell. You're just like
Probably Stoju.
yeah, he's probably breaking another water trough. The rest of you can hear this thudding, and Belle just standing at the top of the cart, looking towards the container, the coffin that is atop the cart, and she's smiling. And
I'm smiling. I'm so happy.
That worries me because I haven't seen her smiling.
I know exactly what's up.
Belle.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll an attack for me, for your zombie.
No.
10, 5, so 15.
15. Okay. Like Night of the Living Dead. You see a hand punch through the coffin and just kind of like flex for a second. And then it reaches over and grabs at a clasp that's on the side. And at this point, Davos, you are sort of shaken from your concentration. You can see that there is a red arm that is reaching up out of the coffin and reaching for the latch that is on the side. It looks as though a hand has barely missed like the embossed section of the top of the coffin, avoiding the symbol of Lathander, and just like reaching for latches that are on the outside of the coffin, and it like trips one and then pushes the top of the coffin off, and it sits up, and all of you see Mosing,
Oh god.
eyes kind of glazed over, mouth kind of just lolled open, turns his head towards Belle, and Belle, all that you can hear is just
I'm like, good morning.
So I see this in the middle of casting my spell.
Yep. You like turn from with
How does
all of the noise behind you. You turn from what you are doing, and you see this scene.
Okay, I'm like in a rage. I am, and I shout, "What have you done?"
Can I just say that I don't actually, I've never seen the dead come back to life and don't really know a whole lot about it. So do I intuit what's going on?
So if Syl hasn't seen the dead come back to life, this would be a very harrowing experience. You've fought creatures that look like this, but that guy was dead. You pulled him through town. He was dead in a coffin.
Yeah,
and
he was really dead.
Belle is just now smiling and has just said good morning to the thing that has sat up. And at this point in time, we're going to end this week's session of Dungeons and Dragons in Secret Sex Dungeon.
Cliffhanger.
It is 5 minutes to 11 o'clock, so anyone that came along to the stream, I hope you had a wonderful time. We've had a great time.
Wait, what did he say?
I'm on mute.
Yeah, you've cut your mic.
Ah, no!
Anyone who came along,
We gotta kill this thing.
anyone who came along owes us $50.
Okay, that's good. I just thought I'd keep screaming until I actually worked. But anyone that's come along and watched us on Twitch, thank you so much. We're having a great time, and we've got 15 people coming along and watching the game now. 15 followers on Twitch. There's a whole heap of people following us over at YouTube. So go ahead, find YouTube, search for Secret Sex Dungeon, and we will pop up as a nice smiling little emoji that you can see just over there. For those that like Instagram, like getting little Dungeons and Dragons memes, our wonderful necromancer Beleaguer has been keeping that place fresh with some wonderful stuff. Also, you'll get updates about the show, what we're doing, and we've also had some limericks written up by Magnus that have been absolutely delicious for each of the characters. And so find us on Instagram.com/Secret Sex Dungeon and come over to Facebook, join the conversation. We want to hear what you guys like about the show, whether there's any interesting things that you want to talk about with relation to the characters, with relation to the plot. What the hell's that bowl? What is going to happen with Mosing? I'm really excited to see what happens next Monday at 8 p.m. AEDT.
So am I.
Thank you all for watching, and adventurers, thank you for playing and having a wonderful walk through Daggerford. Good night, and we'll see you in a week's time.